Man, it's a nice day out today, Chad. This is, in my opinion, perfect porch podcast weather.
It is. Although I wish our bird friends were chilling and talking to us as well. Jim.
Yeah,
it's nice to have that in the the ambiance of the pod. But yeah, did we get those pictures squared away?
Yeah, dude, the video's going. What are you talking about?
All right,
we're on to the next stage of this thing.
On to the next one, Jared.
I keep forgetting I need to do this. The people beg for it. I need to get those Instagram shots.
Oh, that's true.
Now, theoretically,
what?
You take an Instagram shot of me. I hate to do this, but
all right.
Every time I take a picture of you, and people are messaging me saying we're really sick of
seeing me. I don't blame them.
So we're gonna do both,
and we can test and see whose camera's better.
And I'm gonna have an assignment for. Well, I didn't really try that hard. Now that I realize we're having a competition about it,
we're definitely having a. Do we? Oh, watch out! That
get the background in there, in the silhouette.
the what? The silhouette. Ooh, there we go. All right, come on, you got to give me something to work with there, Jared. You got to tell the people what they want. Tell the people what they want.
Come on.
It's more than one. If this is a competition, a good photographer takes thousands of photos, Jared.
Okay.
I only took like 300 right there, just a quick burst. But trying to get those pics on point.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
I do have to say though, I didn't comment on our first episode, but I do like the shirt. Like I said, jazzy shirt you got.
I actually meant to bring that up. I thought about that. I looked in the mirror. I was like, "Oh, wait a second."
Can you tell the people what you're wearing and the significance? I don't mean where you got the shirt, but explain what's on your shirt.
Well, I got the shirt from Chad. He gave it to me. It says Woodstock on it.
Go.
It has a small little bird standing at the end of a guitar neck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
what was Woodstock, Chart?
Woodstock was the famous music festival that took place in, was it 69 was the original famous one, and then happened again in 94. And then
that one was crazy.
99 again too after that?
I think so, yeah, I'm not sure.
They're all crazy, weren't they?
Yeah, crazy for different reasons. To be. Yeah. Well, the first Woodstock is pretty crazy because one, they had no idea how many people were really coming.
Right. Wasn't well planned.
Right. And eventually it just got to the point there were so many people, they were just like, we're just not, like, you don't need tickets or something like that.
I don't think it was that you don't need tickets. I just don't think they had a way to
They couldn't really enforce it. Yeah. Well, yeah. And, yeah, it was just crazy. 3 days of peace, love, and happiness is what they call it. But, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a problem with that?
I don't. Sounds like a great time.
Is that what the story you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Would you go to 420? Would you go to a Woodstock if it were to happen now?
Maybe if it was safe to go. Right now, probably not.
Yeah, probably not. That's a surefire way to get COVID.
Right, but at some point, sure. If concerts are safe again, that would be crazy. See some of the biggest names. Yeah, but maybe not actually, because the biggest names in music today maybe aren't necessarily artists I would want to see.
Well, I mean, the original was the original Woodstock just the quote unquote biggest names?
Oh yeah,
it was
for sure. I mean, you have Santana, you have the Who, you have Jimi Hendrix.
I don't know if they were all like at their peak or something. Like they're the biggest names now when you hear them.
Right. Well, some of them back then weren't at the peak. But I think that's what makes it even cooler. Like Santana wasn't really that.
Well, you
big
can't,
back then.
because I was to say obviously these names we hear now are quote unquote legends in the game,
right?
But it's like, were they still like at the peak of their career when?
I think some were more up and comers. Like Santana for sure was. I mean, the Who, I don't think so. Then you had like a band named 10 Years After. They're great. Check them out.
They're still going.
I don't think so, but their music from that time period was awesome. Yeah, I mean, Woodstock was just a crazy concert for sure.
So I was mentioning how this weather is perfect. What do you think? What do you think the temperature is right now? I'm going somewhere with this, please.
You go. Well, I was gonna say in the 70s, but
what do you think is like the absolute lowest temperature for wearing a t-shirt?
Oh, good. Wearing a t-shirt. Probably, absolute lowest?
Mm-hmm.
Only a t-shirt. Probably.
All right, forget that. What's the hottest?
60s?
What's the hottest place you? What's That's pretty good. What's the hottest place you've ever been?
Arizona probably.
What do you think it got up to?
In the hundreds? 100
Yeah.
And 105?
105?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. I think one of the hottest places in Arizona or in the United States is in Arizona.
Okay.
I think at one point it got to like 122.
Wow.
In Baghdad the other day, they got to 125.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it was apparently it's the hottest day
that we've ever had.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. And fortunately, by the way, there were a lot of blackouts and stuff. That's kind of a bummer. I should have actually saved that for the shout outs. But I was just blown away by the 125.
That's pretty crazy.
I think the hottest I've been in is maybe either Louisiana.
That's kind of a muggy hot too, right?
That's probably different than like Baghdad where it was 125, where I imagine it's super dry.
Yeah.
I have been in dry heat, but I don't know if I've been in intense. Like I've been to Pueblo, Colorado. I spent a summer there. I had an internship there.
Working there, yep.
And it's kind of deserty, and it probably got into like the low hundreds. It was dancing around the hundreds on a pretty normal basis. That was the first time I saw tumbleweed. I didn't even know that was real.
Did you feel like you were in a movie?
I was like, I literally like I saw it going by, and it was in the morning going to work, and I looked around and I was like, is like,
that's
am I about to get shot at? Is this the end of the world or something? Have I wandered out into the wilderness or something, and I didn't even realize it? And it was in like a parking lot. I mean, it was like I was at like a big plant, so it was pretty, but it was crazy. And so I couldn't imagine 125 though. Like that
is hot.
Like and so like
what's your ideal though t-shirt temp weather? Like what's the lowest and what's the highest you go from t-shirt to tank, or t-shirt to hoodie or sweatshirt?
I would say what we're dealing with right now is pretty ideal. Now you're right, it probably is. I'm guessing high 70s, but mostly because the sun is here. The sun makes a big difference.
Sure.
I think this is a good spot. I think maybe like in the 80s is ideal for me. In the 80s, honestly, this is kind of ideal. Or I have noticed. I used to think that the dry heat and wet heat was kind of stupid. But really the only thing
makes a difference.
Really, the only thing I'd experienced thoroughly is Michigan and Louisiana. And Michigan is kind of humid. Louisiana is aggressively humid. I'd never really experienced a dry place until Pueblo, and that's definitely better. It's definitely better. It's very different.
If
we're talking dry heat, maybe I'd go up into the 90s. If we're talking like Louisiana,
for a t-shirt,
what would you go no shirt at that point?
I'd wear a tank.
Where are you going?
Out. I don't know. Going to the grocery store. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that seems like.
Where are you going, Jared? You going to a formal business meeting or
in a t-shirt because it's hot outside?
Or a ballroom dance?
And we're gonna wear one of those Dwight Schrute t-shirt, the button-up dress shirts.
I'm gonna wear the tuxedo t-shirt.
Yeah.
So you're here for business.
You know who I
like to have fun.
I actually got one of those because my tuxedo company that I rented my prom tuxedo had.
That's hilarious.
They gave them away for free.
That's funny.
It's the least they could do.
Good business plan. Yeah, that's not cheap. We should do a prom episode sometime.
Ugh. Okay.
No. Okay.
I mean,
we're not.
We can.
Or not. Okay.
I mean, that's a very cultural thing. Do they do that in other countries? They do sort of dances.
I mean, we talked about that in the Czech Republic. The Maturitny Plus, which is the Czech prom.
Oh, right.
It's a graduation
But I feel like in
party.
Germany they don't really do that.
Yeah, they do.
They do proms.
They have an Abi-Ball.
Maybe just no one told me about it on purpose.
Yeah, they have an Abitur ball. Yeah, they were trying to keep you out of the loop, Jared.
I guess they.
I'm letting you in.
But those seem. I guess in my head, I picture those to be so much more formal.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same as prom. It's a way classier version of prom.
It's like they do one of those dances where they do the waltz 4 times in front of their parents. They get to drink 3 glasses of champagne.
Right. And then they go home.
Yeah, yep. Exactly.
Or do they? Or that maybe they have a party.
But then that's when they go out and party after.
Right.
That's probably how it would go, actually. So we've been actually talking about traveling a bit. You were on the Millennial State of Mind podcast talking about
I was.
travel.
That was a good time.
And I read somewhere being on Twitter news, that airplanes are actually not a very dangerous place to get COVID.
Right.
And actually, since after that off-mic conversation we had, that actually makes me feel a little better.
Can I explain why airplanes are actually...
Oh, you know why?
I mean, I have some guesses, sure.
Okay.
One, I think they are really going above and beyond with sanitizing most of the reputable
I don't think
places.
that's what people are I wonder if that's what people are concerned about.
Well,
I feel like people are concerned about
that's a concern.
recycled air.
But I don't think that's an issue because the filters that they have
Right.
have certain standards where I don't think it's recycled in the same way. I'm pretty sure it's filtered. I'm not saying that you couldn't get.
So theoretically, the plane has an N95 filter.
Yes, and if you wear a mask and the other passengers do, it's also much safer.
Right. So if none of your particles are getting out,
Right.
there's a low. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And I guess, yeah, people that whole recycled air kind of gets a weird
bad rep,
like a weird reputation.
Yeah.
Because people always talk about how people's fluids which is I guess is kind of true. But I guess I didn't think that these systems probably have some sort of filtering on them, like for example. Every car, I don't know about your car, it comes from what, 1932? Every modern car has like a cabin air filter for like the AC system, and it's like a pretty simple system, but it's like a pretty thin, like pretty high quality filter that just filters out. So that makes sense. Let's see what they say, by the way. But I like yours. Honestly, I kind of want to end it there. But now that I brought it up, I want to see if we're actually right.
Let's see. I'm curious too.
We might as well validate it.
Sure.
Apparently, I do bring the facts. Did we ever? Oh no, we didn't start this podcast officially. I was like, I feel like I didn't say to follow us on Instagram at Untranslatable Podcast.
Should we get this bad boy started? I guess.
Okay.
Or should we let's just continue? Let's just continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you decide to fly, the odds you will pick up COVID-19 are low, according to one expert analysis. Despite the known dangers of, hold on one second. You do make a good point, though. I could at least have them going underneath while I'm doing it. If you decide to fly, the odds you will pick up COVID-19 are low, according to expert analysis. Despite the known dangers of crowded, enclosed spaces, planes have not been the site of so-called super spreading events, at least so far. That's not to say flying is perfectly safe. Safety is relative and subjective, but as restrictions continue to change, the only way to move forward through this long pandemic is to... Okay, let's see. Arnold Barnett, a professor of management science at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, has been trying to quantify the odds of catching COVID-19 from flying. He's factored in a bunch of variables, including the odds of being seated near someone in the infectious stage of the disease, and the odds of that protection of masks, now required on most flights, will fail. He's accounted for the way air is constantly renewed in airplane cabins, which experts say makes it very unlikely you'll contract the disease from people who aren't in your immediate vicinity, your row, or to a lesser extent, the person across the aisle. The people ahead of you or the people behind you. That's a good point, though, that I didn't think about. Where it's like, it's not just the fact that it is recycled air, where it's like this system is constantly moving. There's no end to the system. Where in any sort of, building, who knows what the ventilation system is. There's no, some places don't even have AC.
Right.
And I actually have seen something. I'm not, this is once again Twitter news, meme news at this point, talking about how like it depends on the style of AC that people have, like the way that it ventilates. Some ventilate where it puts it right in your mouth. Some ventilate where it swirls it up and swishes it out. Could you guess what you think the chances are of getting COVID-19 on a full 2-hour flight? The chances of getting COVID-19. Chad,
is it like out of 100? Like, what do you like a percentage?
It's a percentage, but you do it as a fraction. It's a sort of a
fraction. All right.
I'll give you a clue. It's difficult to quantify with a percentage, so they used a fraction.
Oh, geez, I don't know. 1/16.
That's pretty easy to do with the percentage.
I have no idea. What?
That's a pretty simple percentage. It's you think the chance of getting COVID is 1 in every 16 people?
Probably not.
That's the low. It's pretty safe.
Wait.
1 in every 16 people on a full 2-hour flight are going to get it.
Hold up. Full 2-hour flight.
Go ahead, everyone.
Probably.
Not that they're saying go ahead.
So for easy math, let's just say there's 200 people on that flight. Okay.
Yeah.
200 people on the flight. How many infected people are on there? Just one?
Way less than that. The chances of getting it is way less than
Okay, what is
that. It's 1 in every 4,300.
Woo! Okay, not even. I was nowhere
1 in
on that
16 is
ballpark.
hilarious. That would be a serious risk.
No kidding. No kidding.
That is about 1 in 4,300 passengers will pick up the virus on average. The odds of getting the virus are about half that. 1,770 if airlines leave the middle seat empty. He posted his results as a not yet peer reviewed preprint. Listen, I'm not saying that this is fact. I still does. First of all, does this make you want to any more confident about flying?
Yeah, a little bit. I still think right now I'm not going to travel right now.
Not me.
I will be finally getting my passport back soon though. I got a notification. I sent it in April.
Yeah.
We are now in August.
Is it just because they're like, who cares? You're not going anywhere?
I have no idea. I don't know. Well,
that
first
seems
of all,
like a very work from homeable job.
You couldn't expedite it. They've stopped doing that right now. I mean, I think they have wanted to curtail people from traveling.
Yeah, I get it.
That's
Do you think that's kind of like slick? You know, like kind of gross?
I'm a little. I mean, what? Because
when I hear it now, it's like, is this so we don't travel? Where it's like technically you can do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, really.
I think they say that some of the official documents and stuff they have at like an office, and somehow they can't do it all from home. But either way,
that sounds like a convenient excuse.
Right.
They're flipping through a file cabinet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so we are talking about what we wish we knew before college today.
Dude. Yeah.
What we wish we knew. I think I would love. Okay, Jared. Here, before we do that, let me ask you a question. I saw this on a video, and this is kind of what made me think about a couple points for today's episode, which is if you could get $5 million and be 40. Okay, you don't know what happens from now until 40, but you have $5 million and you're 40, or all the knowledge you have right now as a 20, you're 28 or are you 27?
27.
You're younger than me. Yeah. Okay, so as a 27-year-old, all the knowledge you have right now, but you go back to 18. Would you pick the $5 million at 40 or go back to 18 with all the knowledge you have as a 27-year-old?
I'd 100% take the $5 million at 40.
$5 million at 40.
Because the $5 million at 40 doesn't have any impact on my job or anything like that. I just get $5 million at 40.
Right.
So I can keep working. It's just that's like a little personal bonus.
Sure.
That I took that I got from the devil, I imagine.
Probably. I don't see where else you would get it from. I don't know. I might pick going back in time what I know now to when I was 18.
Why is that? What do you feel like you messed up or something?
Because you can always, in theory, right? Money is not really a finite thing, right?
Yeah.
You can always earn more money, but you can't.
The system almost.
Right, but you can't earn more time and youth.
Right.
Imagine, if you were 18 and you could speak German the way you can.
So do you realize that you were alive at 28 and they popped you back to 18? Do you realize that you lived that?
Sure, that's a good question.
I need to know how that knowledge works. Because if I knew, I feel like if I knew,
you just wake up and you somehow just know everything.
I feel like if I knew, I'd almost F it up even. I mean, not that I effed anything up, but I feel like if I knew everything, I probably feel like I would have done a lot worse. Not worse, but I wouldn't have improved. Like if I still had awareness of the fact that all right, I was 28, that I lived that life, and then I popped back down to 18. Like if I had that awareness. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not learning good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's better or worse. Let's just pretend for our fun little game right now that you go back, but you're not aware. You wake up one day, and you're back in your house when you were 18, your normal day-to-day from when you were 18. But you wake up knowing everything you know now. So knowing more about relationships, about work, how to write a CV, how to write a paper, all the stuff you learned in college, you can take that back with you to the age of 18.
I don't think it would have made a huge difference career-wise.
Okay.
Now, maybe it would have made a gigantic difference relationship-wise. That I can't even really sort of understand.
Right. Oh, me too.
Where that could go. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't really imagine it making a huge difference career-wise, mainly because so much of any sort of like normal career path or is just starting. Is a lot of it's based off of experience. So like you kind of have a starting point in a lot of places, and it's hard to sort of skip over that. Even if I have sort of the knowledge I have today of how to navigate the business world. I don't know. Maybe I could move. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is time. Like, yeah, obviously it's like who you know and all that stuff, but I think a lot of it is still time and just putting in years and having experience. So like, like I couldn't just somehow skip over some. Maybe I would have picked internships a little differently, and maybe that could have had a whole different, butterfly effect style of. Better butterfly effect style change on my career path,
Sure.
But now I feel like that's something that I can't even quantify. I can't even now. We need to start doing some I don't know. That seems like I don't know. I don't know. That seems like a fantasy world that could go on forever.
That is true.
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, but we are talking today about what we wish we knew before college. I'm just curious, Jared, and we'll talk more about this later this episode, but did you know, just a little teaser for what we'll talk about later, did you know your major before you got into college? Like, did you know this is what I'm going to study?
I mean, it was generic, but yeah, I figured it would be like business,
Okay.
But that's so generic,
Right. Yeah, what does that even mean?
That's almost like yeah, well, then I did focus on finance, but the only reason I did that is because I felt like I had to focus on something like some quote-unquote hard science almost, And I'm like, I don't know.
You can make some bank in the finance industry.
And honestly, focusing on maybe something like I don't know, communications, like business communications or like marketing or something like that, I feel like there's a lot less like science to it, and so it's harder to get those sort of early jobs with something where you can't, like, I don't know, put down a pen to paper of things that you've done, like, where you can literally show something that you've done. I don't know. Right. I didn't try to. This is just my own personal experience. Obviously, but it was just a generic business because I figured I wanted to work at some company, doing something related to cars. That's really where my
and look at you now. How about that?
I mean, it's pretty easy. I live in Michigan, so
That's
to be
true.
fair, it's not hard to do. But,
a lot of people do work in the car industry here. That is true.
I told you I've ran into multiple people from our fraternity just walking around various buildings. And I'm like, and I was like, what? How is this possible? Just walking out of an elevator. So it's not uncommon here for people to have some sort of contact, even if they don't work at one of the big companies, but they have, they work at a auto supplier or some sort of third party company that, works for them or whatever. It's very common. But that's so generic, obviously you can do anything. These are gigantic industries. And so it's one thing to know that, but that's not a degree. I like cars. I want to just read articles about cars, watch YouTube videos.
But you still had a trajectory, right? I kind of did as well. For me though, I just knew
I had an overall interest that I knew that I wanted to exploit.
Sure,
that's really where the length of my sort of college focus.
Right. For me, it was I loved German in high school.
Professional focus, I should say, not college focus.
Yeah. For me, I loved German in high school. Was always a lot of fun, and I thought maybe I'd become a German teacher. And at first, I thought maybe I'd go into German and business. I took an econ class freshman year, and I hated it, dude.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It was terrible. It just was not for me. And then, of course, my mom told me my dad didn't really care one way or another, but my mom told me, do not study music. But they made the mistake, or maybe I made the mistake. I don't regret anything, so I don't think it's actually a mistake. But they offered to pay for guitar lessons the first semester.
Who did?
My parents. And then second semester, I wanted to continue, and you could get free music lessons if you were a music major. But I also just really enjoyed it, and I was like, you know what, I would love to work in the music industry or teach.
What does work in the music industry mean? Like, now that's kind of like
can be a whole lot
That's
of
kind of the
things.
exact same thing as me. Like, you could do that
Business,
and
right.
like as me being like, well, I know I want to do stuff with cars.
Right.
Where it's like you could either be on the stage or you could be in an office crunching numbers and be in the music industry.
Right. You could also work for a guitar company. At least that was one thing I thought about.
Doing
Working
what? Like a building, like
building,
physically,
testing,
testing.
other,
So they hire, like, almost like, I know with a lot of cars, especially sports cars, they'll hire or maybe they have in-house like professional drivers or something, and they're like, all right, whip these around and let us know how you think about the dynamics and all that stuff.
But even other jobs too. I mean, a communications type of job at like I would love to work at like Fender.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of something like that, like people that go on like launches of new products,
right?
And they're like explaining to people. But I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. It seems glamorous, but I'm like, do I really want to go and stand in front of a bunch of strangers and
make a lot of small talk,
and then maybe see people, sort of make fun of me in the local. Like, because I mean, sometimes I see that, especially in like the auto industry, where it's like you see people that, I don't know, I'm not gonna say get made fun of, but like people
they get
talk
trolled.
about them.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, oh, this is just a normal person that sits at a desk,
right?
But they said something weird or off at like some sort of public thing, and it's like they're not public speakers. Like, yeah, that's part of their job, but this is an engineer or this is some sort of this is not what they signed up for.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like I glamorize it because it looks like fun. So, but yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, we'll talk more about this stuff
I will
later.
say also, I did not even know that German was not really a consideration for me as a major.
Really?
So I knew I wanted to take German. Like I'm like, well, I might as well keep it up if I can. And it wasn't until like the second German class where Perry was like, you should probably just major in this.
Right.
It's like clearly you're good at it and you like it and you're already got some classes under your belt. And he's like, it doesn't take that much more to, or maybe minor. Minor.
I
meant to say minor.
And you got to go to Vienna for a semester.
Yeah, and actually it replaced.
I wish you would have done a year. I really wish you would have done a year.
I know. Well, there. That's something else right there.
See,
that was actually on my list. You're ruining it.
So,
let's spread a little love.
Let's do it before I ruin more of Jared's.
I want to
notes.
Yeah,
give a shout out.
I do want to spread a little love to the people of Baghdad. Stay cool out there in those streets.
That's true.
I'm not going to make it seem like I know what it's like to experience 125-degree heat in Baghdad, but I have been in some hot temperatures. I have family in Dallas, Texas. Most of my family's from Baton Rouge. I've experienced some extreme heat, and I know how important AC is for us, hot for the hot Americans here. And I also know how delicate it is when you when the temperatures do get that hot. The systems are exposed for their weaknesses, and it's when you need it the most. It's a scary time. Stay cool out there.
That's right.
Stay cool.
That's right. Most definitely. My first
stay
shout
hydrated too. That's key.
Always stay hydrated,
especially when it's 125 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
My first shout-out goes out to Mexico and the UK. They have banned advertisements for junk food and unhealthy food on different media outlets, which I think it's an interesting strategy. We'll see what happens. I like where their head's at. We'll see what happens. But I know at least the UK. I'm not so sure about Mexico, but I know the UK. They do have an issue with a lot of kids being overweight. I mean, we have that problem here in the States too, and I think any way we can try to promote healthier eating and a healthier lifestyle, especially for kids, that's always good. And I mean, if you look at a lot of these unhealthy foods, the ads are targeting children.
Sure, of course. I mean.
And it's delicious, but still.
How much different is it than like cigarette ads from back in the day?
That's true.
Where like they were kind of targeted at like, young teens. You got to get them early.
Right.
And it's the same thing with
get them hooked.
And it's the same thing with fast food, where it's like it becomes a normal part of people's expectations, meal expectations, and it's easy to get them hooked early, especially with the toy. It's sort of like the toy in itself is sort of a trick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like
they make them collectible too.
Where it's like the food is one thing, but it's like we got another way to get these kids wanting to come back here early, and then once they stop caring about the toy, we'll still have this sort of connection with prizes and stuff with coming. Yeah. I don't know. It's sort of this weird psychological game. So I feel like
marketing
in the same way that you no longer see ads for cigarette companies on on TV or on any sort of anything really.
Right.
I don't think it would be that weird to see maybe one day the what do you call it when it's like the supervision? But what is it when they have like
Censor?
rules? They're like I see it. It wouldn't be weird. I feel like to see rules on fast food
Like,
advertisement.
Okay.
Like as far as advertising to kids and stuff.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, so I think that's great.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, there's just so many unhealthy habits that we have nowadays.
I have no plan of being a parent,
Mhm.
but I do feel like I'd be a parent that would be like hypersensitive about never really exposing my kids to treats, and I mean
Right.
never. And maybe I would get better at like, and it would have to be a big change in me because I have a problem myself with sweets and stuff.
Right.
But like,
Oh, I love
I feel
sweets.
like I would be doing them a disservice by introducing them to soda, like fast food, any of that stuff at like a super young age, you know.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
But then is that sort of torturous to not give them any quote unquote treats?
I mean, well, I just
But
hope
maybe
you
if they
never
grow
have
up-
kids, Jared. No, I'm
Maybe
just
if they
kidding.
grow up not like expecting it, you know, it's not like an expectation of a thing.
Right. I mean, my nephews didn't eat McDonald's for the first time until they were like 10 or 11.
Yeah. Did they like it?
I
Did
think
they
think so,
loved it?
but it's not that big of a deal. I
It's
think.
not. It needs to be ingrained earlier than
Right,
that. Yeah.
right.
All right.
So
I like
yeah.
that. I
Yep.
really do like that. Actually,
It
I don't
is
have a problem with it.
It is a good one.
Now here
Well,
in America, you know, I can imagine people being real up in arms about any sort of censorship.
That's true. Freedom. You're infringing on our rights, Jared.
Yep.
My freedom. Speaking of freedom, Jared, let's talk about some untranslatables,
That's a good connection.
which are, it's a great one. Gives you the ability to be free in your speech and your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, you can sneak in.
It frees you from your preconceived notions of what
True.
language means. I think it really does. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's like there's these phrases where sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, which really only means, oh, we have something similar to that in our English language, or we can take their words but really there are a lot of times where it's like I don't even know where they would get that from, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like words can mean completely different things
Most
in completely
definitely.
different languages.
So let me give you some of those words, Jared. And my first one is Peruvian Spanish. Actually, all three of mine are Peruvian Spanish today.
Пожалуйста.
And actually, today, Jared, I thought it would be interesting to give you some words. Instead of a phrase, some
Yeah.
words, and see if you can guess the meaning.
Please.
So my first one is pavo. Do you know what pavo means in Spanish? It means turkey. A turkey.
Is that like someone that like is embarrassing themselves somehow? They're making a fool of themselves?
You know, you could say that about a turkey. You could. That is one aspect of what a turkey is
A
kind
nuisance, maybe?
of like. Kind of, but not necessarily.
Weirdly aggressive.
let me try to give you an example. I can't think of a specific person, but a turkey is someone who, you know, they're usually tend to do really well in school. They have awesome grades, but they're lacking in other departments.
Oh, so they're like sort of. I mean, that's kind of the So
they're
they're kind of
very
like
academically gifted, but there's some other areas where they're not so gifted.
they got sort of like a one-track mind, essentially, where they're very.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't really understand what you're getting at.
It's someone who's really smart but socially awkward.
Oh, okay.
It's a turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, someone who's really smart but socially awkward.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder if that's true about turkeys, because I mean, obviously, turkeys are not great with humans as far as
Right.
interactions go. They don't really have a good
Right.
like.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, if they're
Don't they
smart or
tend
not.
to attack humans?
Turkeys do that?
Aren't there
I
a
don't
lot of
think so.
videos of like people running away from turkeys on the
I
internet?
feel like it's more like geese and swans.
I mean, maybe if you go down that lane, it's easy to
Right.
believe that that's happening in every local neighborhood.
That's true. Anyways, what do you have for us today, Joe?
Mine is Turkish, and it is on Yazisi on Yazisi. It is written on your forehead.
Oh, it's just when something's obvious.
No,
It's right in front of your face.
No, see,
No.
I like that, but I obviously that makes sense.
Right.
Where it's like, how could you miss it?
Or is it something that you don't see but is very obvious for other people?
No, something that's written on your forehead. Now, this thing has been written on your forehead for a long time.
Oh, it's your destiny. It's your
There you go.
fate.
There you go.
Okay. It's written on your forehead. Yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
meant to be.
Yeah, okay. My next one is also a Peruvian Spanish, and it is asado. Asado.
I don't know what that word is.
Means baked, grilled, or roasted.
Okay, I was about to say it does sound like a carne asada.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be rude.
Right. No, it means baked, grilled, or roasted.
Yeah, okay. Baked, grilled, or roasted.
Mm-hmm. I would say grilled or roasted is better.
Is it like drunk or hungover or something? One of those two, some sort of state. It sounds like
don't make me grilled. Don't make me roasted.
Oh, angry.
Yep.
Yeah. The problem is, not the problem, but my American mind, the use of like grilled or roasted or baked.
Like
these are all sort of like
different meanings.
Either yeah. I know you're afraid to ever even mention the word marijuana, but those are terms that people often use when they're high on
baked.
Marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We do have children out there.
That's
maybe
true.
I shouldn't have done that. I haven't. Oh, it's your turn. Sorry.
It is. No, it's your turn. Isn't it?
Oh no, you just said asado.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that means to get angry, to get baked. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of getting hot and having a hot head.
Yeah.
Is a is a go-to for us Americans. I have another Turkish one, and it is and this one actually. Hold on. It is bir kavenin 40 yıl hatiri vardır. A cup of coffee has a 40-year memory. Speaking of which.
So like value the little things?
No. But so think about first thing I thought about.
Give me a clue, coffee man.
The first thing I thought about when I heard this, or when I saw what this untranslatable meant, was Nazils.
It's just a great meal. It's very nostalgic. You'll remember it forever. No?
The first thing I thought about was when Nazil offered us a coffee.
Oh, to befriend someone.
Yeah, essentially a cup of coffee, kind of like to like share a cup of coffee. It's kind of like saying to share a cup of coffee means like we have like a strong relationship, or like that means we have like a strong relationship. And it kind of reminded me of when we were in Nazil's, and he gave us that Turkish coffee.
That was
for free.
Great, yeah.
And we
were homies.
In a bit of a way, it kind of did feel like, all right, we're in now, we're accepted, like we're cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it was to me, it kind of felt like a sign of like, oh, you guys we're kind of buddies now,
Right.
This is my sign of like reaching out, and that's I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
That's
I
good.
feel like I've experienced that.
Yeah, that's good. I got one more for you. It's kind
Please.
of related. It is pata, and pata is Spanish for, do you know?
Some sort of food related thing.
Leg or paw.
Okay.
Pierna is leg for human legs. But pata would be a paw or an animal leg.
An animal leg. Is that to mean like you injured yourself and you have a limp?
No, you use this to address a person.
A paw?
Mm-hmm.
You use it to address a person.
Yeah.
Your pointer finger is called a paw?
You'd say you're my paw, for example.
Oh, is it like a term of endearment for like a friend?
Yep. Yeah, very good. A friend. Yeah, you're my friend. You're my amigo.
Paw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that sounds kind of weird to me.
Yeah. You could say like es mi pata, like he's my pal, or hey pata qué tal? Hey pata qué tal? How's it going?
Right. That's very good. I miss the Spanish learning. I kind of
you could do it again,
dude. That's actually speaking of which,
Duolingo and just have that owl constantly harass you.
That's something I kind of miss. That I wish I would have taken a little bit more seriously was probably French. I had at least a base for that many years ago. Now I have nothing.
And you didn't take French in college, did you?
Not at all. No.
Okay.
Not once.
I dated a French TA our first year there, and she tried to convince me to take French, and I was like, nope, I'm taking German.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's foolish because you're thinking about your future.
Right.
I mean, and she just wants you to do it because she wants, I don't know. I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I imagine she would think it would be nice to, more fun to date someone that's learning French, which I understand.
Sure. I mean,
but
she
you're
taught
like,
me some
I understand
French.
why that would be fun, but this is my future here.
That's right. But see, that's a tricky
my future.
That's the tricky thing about college, Jared, is I think we throw young kids into college and they don't know the purpose. I sure as hell I mean, they tell you get an education. What does that even mean? You know, it means something different depending on what you want to do.
In my mind, it just felt like, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it just felt like I have to leave here with a job, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the point.
That's sort of it to me.
Yeah,
or at least that's how it was sold to me, I feel like. As like that's sort of like, that's it. You got like, and it's like, and I feel like the focus is not on what do you like doing, but it's like, no, you need to, like, it's just like, most like now to
what's going to get you a secure job,
to have a secure
money.
to have a secure long-term job. A lot of those jobs require a college education, so go get one, and that'll help you with your long-term career options. And that's sort of how it's presented, very like pragmatically by my parents,
right? But I feel like you were by
like society overall, like old people, like boomers in general,
especially those
I feel
boomers.
like,
but I feel like though, Jared, you and I had a different upbringing than a lot of people out there, and I think that
how so?
Well, we both come from a 2-parent household.
That's true.
Both of our parents have done pretty well for themselves, career-wise, financially, all that good stuff. You know,
we have a porch to do a podcast on.
Yes, we do. And a nice backyard and all sorts of other stuff. But anyways, the point here is that I think there's a lot of people who go to college just because they're told you need to go to college. You and I were both told that we need to go to college, but we were told why. Sure. I think a lot of people don't understand the why. And so they spend all this money, and I'm talking more to our American listeners right now. They spend all this money on college, and then they maybe have nothing to show for it, or they have, you know what I mean?
Or they still don't have any idea of what they want to actually do.
Or they study something, and then they hate it, and they feel like they're forever stuck in that field and have no way out.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, I will tell you, I'm very lucky that my dad straight up told me, look, you're paying for your college. I mean, yeah, my parents helped me out a lot, and you know, and I'm very grateful for it. But he said, at the end of the day, you're going to be the one you're investing in.
Betcha.
So you have to make sure you're studying what you want to study. And so, to a lot of people, a bachelor's in German and a bachelor's in music is quote unquote useless. Right, but I feel like I've done pretty well for myself.
And that's why I just went quote unquote generic business.
Right,
German didn't even really cross my mind, which is something that I theoretically have an actual talent and interest in. You know,
I think you don't give yourself enough credit when it comes to your German abilities.
All right, well, that's not the point of the episode.
That's not this episode. But anyways,
thank you, Chad. That's what I should have said.
Anyways, my point is that even when I started studying music and German. There was always still this end goal of, for me, it was I wanted to teach. I think I could have approached it in a different way, and this is one thing I wish I would have known. I wish, sometimes now in hindsight, I wonder if it would have been better for me to actually do the education track with German and music, but then I would be a high school teacher instead of a college teacher, and it is different.
The good thing about a teacher, I would say, is if you know you want to be a quote-unquote teacher, there is sort of like... There isn't really any sort of specific focus you have to have, unless it's like the class that you think you're most interested in teaching, maybe.
Right.
Or, you know, maybe you want to get a... But, like, it still leaves you...
Or the grade level.
Theoretically, in my mind, it still leaves you pretty open in college. Because then after, you have to decide, do you want to get, like, a certificate and go straight to teaching at schools? Do you want to, you know, go on to try to teach at universities or whatever? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what all the tracks that teachers could choose. Do you want to do what you did and travel the world, see the world, and save children?
I don't know about that.
Chad tells me all the time, I saved those children.
That's right.
They'd be nothing without me.
That's right.
Children, by the way, they're like in their teens and 20s. But yeah, no. So I at least it feels like to me as a teacher, I mean, you have to know that you want to be a teacher, I guess, but it does give you at least a few more years to be like, all right, is it easy? That's not how I want to word it. What's the process for you in college for trying? What was the process for you in college for determining what level you wanted to focus in on teaching? Because somewhere during college, I imagine you kind of had to at least in your mind think, what route do I want to go here? Right. Even if you didn't know exactly where it would end you.
I think I wanted to teach at a college. I mean, basically after our freshman year,
okay,
a professor. I just thought being a professor would be a fantastic job. I mean, you You get to teach, in theory, if you're a professor, unless you're teaching a bunch of general education classes, you're teaching students who are passionate about what they're learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that the kids in our German classes, for the most part, were there because they wanted to be there. Not because they had to be, but because they wanted to be. Whereas you teach high school or middle school, it's going to be different. Everything okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So if you teach at a high school or a middle school, it's just a different environment, you know? So the pay at colleges and universities is pretty decent too, at a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, you can have like a livable career off of that.
Right. But you know, it's interesting in hindsight because I wonder.
Tenure track, did that ever that in your head, was that like the goal?
Of course. I mean, that's why I applied as a PhD. No. I don't think so.
Interesting.
Ask me in 5 or 10 years, maybe, and maybe it'll be different. But right now, no.
It does sort of. I mean, I've heard. Obviously, I know what it is just from hearing about it, and especially for me that doesn't know a lot about like the education process or like the the process of becoming a college professor,
academia, and all that stuff.
Like you would,
right?
The idea of tenure sounds like the holy grail.
I mean,
it's like you're set for life.
It technically
is how people put it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in a way,
unless you do something real egregious, they're not going to fire you.
Right.
You have freedom with your a lot more freedom with your curriculum.
Right. But at the same time, there are so many hoops you have to jump through, and so much other stuff.
There's politics, a lot of politics.
Sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's just about teaching, and I know it sounds cheesy, but for me, it's teaching
kids, man,
and making a difference. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is for me.
Titles, the politics, man. It's about the kids.
And titles aren't as important. You can razz on me all you want, Jared.
I'm just having fun.
But titles aren't too important. But I think the key with what I wish I would have known in college is, this may sound counterintuitive, Jared, but have more fun and network more. Also, if I could have gone back, I don't think I would have had an exclusive relationship in college for longer than a year.
Yeah, but it's hard to do.
Easier said than done. That's
a ridiculous thing to be like, oh, I should have cut it off at a year.
Well,
I mean,
not
unless you were in a bad relationship, but it'd be like, why? Like to give yourself a timer is what I mean. It's sort of a foolish thing.
It wasn't the timer thing. It was that college comes and goes so quickly.
Well, let's put it this way: there were relationships that probably went on too long. That's probably what you're saying. Yeah, I can probably agree with that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So what was the other one you said? There's
having more fun.
Oh yeah,
because I think
networking. How do you? I want to hear about this networking one specifically.
Okay, sure.
Well, how do you think you could have better networked in college?
Your professors, your professors, and for me, I worked in the music department. So those professors, I had a different relationship with, and a lot of them I didn't even have their classes, because one of them I worked really closely with, but he was the band teacher. I was a guitar major, so I didn't have any classes with him. Really.
I have no relationship with any of my college professors.
But see, you take those relationships
That's not a point
that you
of
build
pride,
on.
by the way. I'm just telling you the truth.
Right. But see, and I'm trying to tell you how, if I were you coming into college, this is what I would tell you, Jared. I would say, look into building a relationship with the teachers who will be the ones in your major. And I have to attribute a lot of this knowledge to my roommate Mitchell, because he is a great networker. He does.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's always been his clear strong suit.
I mean, he's a social guy, and he's good talking to people, and I love him to death. He was my roommate. We went in blind our freshman year, and I was lucky. I had a great experience. A lot of people who go in blind do not. You were lucky. You had a great experience too.
Yeah.
You're still very close friends with your freshman roommate.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so networking, I mean, using your, I don't like to use the term use, but those relationships you build with your professors,
don't take them for granted, I would say.
And have those open up some doors. I had some friends who continued on in music, and they went to some really good grad programs because of connections at Albion.
Well, and that's the thing, is I was in
you're in Gerstacker,
a bunch of business classes where a lot of these people, a good number of these teachers
connected, right?
or administrators either recently, came from positions in companies, or like some of them while they were professors are like, actually, I'm going to go back to go to the corporate world. It switched over.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of I don't know about a lot, but there is switchover at least between like corporate and academia, and so it's like it does. I'm just saying it's a great place for for connections, and then obviously professors in general. Part of as we were just talking about, having tenure and becoming a respected professor is knowing people and shaking the hands and kissing the baby's cheeks.
Right. Or doing the namaste for now.
Yeah.
To be safe.
Yeah, doing the elbows
Yep.
if you really know each other.
Or fist bump. I think fist bumps are still somewhat okay.
We don't do fist bumps though.
We don't. Well, we do the
namaste.
namaste. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Or I just
anyways,
leave.
right. Yeah. Jared's all right. Yep. See ya. Sometimes not
That's only
not
when it's
even a
raining
wave,
outside, to
people.
be
That's
fair.
right. But yeah. Anyways, though, networking I think is crucial for college because. Yes, you do learn a lot of valuable things in your lectures and everything like that, sure. But I think there's a different, it sounds kind of dumb, but it's kind of street smarts a little bit in college. You get these 4 years or however long it takes you to finish your bachelor's, or if you do an associate's, it's 2, for example,
And
right?
it's an overload of new personalities. Like, that's
Right.
sort of the last time I feel like you'll have that amount of new people really coming at you that you
Right.
have the chance to interact with.
And everyone is so open to meeting new people.
Right. Yeah. So it is sort of like this fresh start for everyone,
Right.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I definitely had a moment before I started college where it's like, well, now I could be like whoever
Who
I
you
want.
want.
I don't know anyone
Yeah.
at this place. Like I can
Right.
just make up a whole. I think somehow I thought in my head I'd just make up a whole new super cool, chill, outgoing personality out of
did.
nowhere.
Look at ya.
And look how
Look
easy
at
it was
you
to
now.
do.
That's right.
Boom. You can do it too, kids. No,
That's right.
but yeah, I for some reason I feel like there is that feeling, which is good.
I
Embrace
will,
that feeling.
I will say the first
it's exciting.
the first month of college, I was just like, where am I? What the fuck is this?
You're a very cool kid, though.
Because
You're always a very cool kid.
I don't know about that, Jared.
Everybody likes Chad.
Speak for yourself here, buddy. But
Listen, we lived in the same hallway. We were very close to each other.
we were like
Chad was a cool kid, trust
we
me.
had a lot. We had a lot of fun in college, but
Chad just never accepts it. We've always had friends. Every time our friends hang out, we always call you the cool kid, and you're
I
always
don't-
like, no.
I don't like
no,
it. I don't like it,
no,
man. There are
yeah.
so many cooler people than me.
All 7 of us are just making this up. You're right.
You probably are. You probably are. Some sick joke, Jared. But yeah, I mean, just the great thing too about college is, I think you get to, because you do see all these personalities, you can really see kind of all sorts of different walks of life. And I think there's a lot you can learn. Good things and bad things. There were definitely some people in college that I saw and I was like, yeah, I do not want to end up or be like that person. And that can be a good thing,
Yeah.
Not going to say names, but it's just the truth.
Yeah. No, yeah, we don't have to say names.
Right. It's just the truth.
Yeah, that's very true. Another thing about that, I wrote this down. I took notes. Don't be afraid to join groups.
Yep.
Like
I
extracurricular
agree.
groups. I was hesitant to join a fraternity.
I roped Jared in, people. It was all me. No.
I was hesitant to join a fraternity. I was hesitant to I
You
never
joined
considered
junior year or sophomore
No,
year?
sophomore year.
That's right. Spring semester, sophomore year, right?
No, it was first semester, but I moved in. Oh, I joined.
You joined late, though.
I joined
because you weren't in our class.
I joined. Wait, when did you join officially? The next semester was.
You joined sophomore year. I joined end of freshman year.
Yes,
that was the difference.
But I
yeah.
moved in probably spring because I think I got initiated during sophomore year. And then
you
the next
did. I remember initiating you in the fall.
And then the next semester you move in after that.
Yep.
So that's what happened. But there was there's a business fraternity. Like it's not they call it fraternity. It's co-ed, and it's not something you like. It's not some frat house or something like that. But it's just like
a professional type thing.
Yeah. Like why didn't I join that? Like it's minimal involvement, and it's just like I went to a couple of the Black Student Association meetings, but it's just like, well, why didn't I just stay in it? Like it's not like it was a huge.
Right.
And it was fun to go to. Like I'm not gonna say I got dragged because I definitely get dragged. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And it was initially when I got to college, and I had some friends that would go occasionally. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go, and it was great. And I was like, why not just keep going? Like just have it. And selfishly, when you're coming out of college, and once again, my whole thing in college was like, you gotta leave with a job. When you're coming out of collge, extracurriculars is the only thing you can put on your resume, really.
Right.
I mean, other than internships and
which
stuff
I think
like that,
internships are also. I wish I worked all throughout college, but I never really did an internship. I worked for the music department. I worked for the Office of Study Abroad at Albion. I worked for the German department.
See, that's the good thing about being in a business program. Well, at least mine required at least two.
And
One
you,
of them,
and you had a paid internship too, didn't you?
well, they require internships, and a
Right.
lot of business ones are. It's not hard to find a paid one. A lot of times.
I mean, do a paid one if you can. To all of our
Sure.
prospective young kids listening, thinking about going to
And
college.
they're pretty
yeah.
competitive these days, so it's not hard to find a paid, at least in the business
Right.
world.
Right.
Obviously, it's different in a lot of other
Right.
industries.
Politics, I know it's really difficult. That's all
Sure, of
free
course.
internships.
Of
yep,
course.
or
So, like, if you were to
non-paid.
be maybe journalism, that's probably
Right.
hard.
Yep.
Like, yeah, but corporations pay well in general.
That's one thing, though, I wish we had a better system here in the States, was just doing internships, because I think that's a great way to figure out. I mean, the way I've
What sort of
figured out-
internships would you be interested in as someone that?
Well, one that I really regret, and I kick myself now, is there was a teaching internship when we were in Austria. And I just didn't do it because I was worried with my,
I
my
think you
music
told me about
classes.
that.
Yeah, I was just worried that it wouldn't fit. Just it was
Right.
too much.
and you still could have some time for the fun.
Right.
You can't totally give that
and
up.
study abroad too. Some of the things you're doing is just experiencing being there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like-
you don't want to become so overwhelmed and bogged down.
That is a portion of studying abroad that gets made fun of the most, but I think it is sort of the most underrated portion, is taking in the culture, which is why we rag
Oh,
on
for
people
sure.
so much for studying
Being that
abroad and
person,
eating
yeah.
McDonald's all the time.
Right.
Where it's like this is your chance.
Right.
So I would say I wish I joined a lot more groups. Do you regret not Mr. Fun?
Uh-huh.
Do you regret trying so hard to avoid any of the dance-related activities like Anchor Splash
I don't-
Mock Rock?
That's the funny thing. I don't really regret that. It's weird. I really don't.
Because you had excuses that why you couldn't go, but it was not. But those are excuses that you could easily get out of
Right.
if you really wanted.
I could have, yeah. If I really wanted to make it work, I could have, absolutely. But I don't regret it. You can call me, if you want to call me a bad fraternity brother, go ahead.
I don't care. Chad.
Call me it. Jared's going to call me it
I'm not
after
I don't
off
think-
the air people.
I don't think anyone would call me the epitome. Gladly, I'll
Right.
gladly not take the epitome. The
epitome.
The moniker as the epitome
Right.
of frat brother.
Right. But I don't know, for me the things I wanted out of joining a fraternity were not necessarily some of those events. For me,
Yeah.
it was the little things. I know it sounds cheesy, but just like chilling with some of my best friends and being able to, like, yeah, you could eat lunch with people if they weren't in a fraternity as well, I guess. But I mean, if everyone joins a fraternity, once again, this sounds kind of very sheeple-esque, I guess. But
The reason why I really started giving it a consideration is because all my friends from, not all, but like, let's honestly, from our freshman year hall,
Yeah.
it's probably like 70% of the people
Easily
in our
70,
freshman year,
yeah.
of the dudes in our freshman year hall went to the same fraternity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, all my friends are here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, it actually seems like a kind of an easier place to live. And it did kind of start as a practical thing.
right.
But I think that,
Having our own kitchen was really nice.
yeah.
For me, it was also
More
having
freedom.
a place. Yep, having that basement where we could play music all the time.
Yeah.
That was a big seller for me because I couldn't do that in my dorm room.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a stage where I could put a big amp and my pedals and stuff.
Less concerned about sound, like noise
We could be
complaints and
loud.
things like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. So
We got a noise complaint one time in Twin, which is a dorm at our place.
right,
For playing a video game.
yeah, doesn't surprise me though.
I mean, not
But
saying
yeah,
we didn't
but I
deserve
think
it,
the whole thing about college and university, yes, it's studying, yes, you're learning, but part of that learning is how to balance having a fun, healthy lifestyle and still going to class. Another thing, this may sound counterintuitive, and I feel terrible saying this as a teacher, Jared. I hope I don't lose a
do
teaching
less
job
homework.
down the road.
Care less about your schoolwork.
Actually, be smarter about going to classes. I went to almost all my classes, and now I wonder
a little more
sometimes.
strategic, you mean?
Yeah, so you get a couple days off.
Few duds.
Yeah, I figure, you know what, sometimes why not?
Mm.
But if I'm going to skip a class, it should be for a specific reason. It shouldn't just be, I don't feel like it. I don't think that's a good enough reason.
I can probably count on no joke, I'm not lying. I can probably count on the number of one hands the classes I skipped, not for a good reason, over maybe 1.5 hands.
Yeah.
The classes I skipped over 4 years
Mm-hmm.
and the reason usually was just because I overslept, I'm going to be honest with you.
Right. For me,
But it, as I said, rarely happened.
right.
Just to be clear.
I'm calling up Albion.
I earned that degree.
We're going to get that degree rescinded. Jared, it's going to be gone.
But I took that's one of the few things I took very seriously. It was like the least I can do is show up.
Right.
Especially when you saw the complete other end of the spectrum, where the people that's like they showed up when there was a test and you forgot that they were even in the class.
Right.
Like, there's no way you're doing well in college.
Right.
I just can't believe it. Like, this can't be it.
Right. But I do think, like, one thing I wish I would have done, actually, in hindsight, and who knows, we might not be sitting here right now, I guess, if I would have done this, maybe. So maybe it's a good thing it didn't happen. But, like, my senior year, I should have really prepared more classical guitar repertoire. But because I didn't apply for any classical guitar master's programs, which led me to German, which led me to TESOL, which, led us here. And the crazy thing is, though, is I wonder if I would have occasionally skipped a class here or there to practice and prepare more repertoire, and I would have applied, what would have happened. I know this is lots of what ifs.
That seems like a very romantic artist dream.
I guess it is. I guess it totally is. But the thing is, Jared, is I guess going. I don't know, man.
He skipped his classes so he could, and then some beautiful guitar piece, classical piece comes out of it. But look what masterpiece comes out of it. Like, that just seems like some sort of story that they'll be telling in 500 years.
I'm okay with that.
Listen, I'm not saying
that's cooler than the story of, hey, this guy who went to class every day all the time.
I'm not saying an artist, especially a young artist, can't dream.
Right.
But hearing it now, it does make me giggle a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I guess my point is...
And that's an odd thing to sort of balance, because you can't sort of... I don't know, but I can understand you saying you wish you focused more on guitar.
Well, not only that, but just some of my classes, attendance, if it's not 100% mandatory... What
would be your criteria for all right, this will be a good one to skip? Because, for example,
if all the stuff is accessible online, so if the PowerPoints, stuff like that,
but I had a class like ceramics where really the only thing
you can't skip that.
Unless you're an amazing artist, really the only thing that matters is showing up.
Right. But see, that's the thing is you have to decide which classes are worth, because I think some classes I think it's good. I would still regularly attend the lectures, but at the same time, I would also. If it's a more test-based class, if I have other more important priorities, I wouldn't always go to that class, is all I'm trying to say.
I will say I am glad I took ceramics my final semester senior year, because weirdly that was one of my most time-consuming classes. Because
it was probably kind of fun, wasn't it?
I'm not that good. I'm not that good, and I'm so self-conscious about it.
It's not about being good, though, Jared. That's the thing.
I still do use coasters, and I have these like a sort of change collectors that I have, and I put pens and shit in them. So I actually still do use some of my creations. So I guess it's not completely worthless. I'm still using them many years later.
There you go.
But one thing what I do like about ceramics that I wish I could have done a little bit more, and I don't know how I could have, but I wish in some sort of utopian world, I wish I had a chance to sort of, peruse the catalog of classes and sort of just pick from what really sounds interesting to me, Right. Like forget about majors, forget about prerequisites, and just be like, what is really interesting to me on this list?
Sure.
What kind of stuff am I interested in,
Absolutely.
And actually I thought a good bit about this when I was home. Let me hear what you think about this. We're growing up in an AI. We might need to cut this out. Let's do a hard cut. Chad, I have a great idea for you.
Okay,
we're
what's
growing
that?
up in this sort of like AI heavy world, and I pictured this sort of utopia where, as I mentioned, you go to a catalog and you sort of just start
pick and choose,
picking what interests you, what really interests you, and from that, and then and that's sort of just how you go through college. Now, obviously, they can be these preset tracks. I'm not saying those have to go away. Maybe people are like, I definitely want to be a doctor. I definitely want to be a CFO or whatever. So I know that I want to go through this track that has already been set for many, many years. But we have AI. We want to take advantage of the technology. You take whatever classes you want, and we have AI that maybe 2.5 years in, 3 years in, can start predicting what major, what sort of profession best fits with all these classes you're taking, and what sort of professions you could be leading yourself into. And so so you don't go into it with a specific major. You go into it just what am I interested in AI, based off of history of. Obviously you can dig into history of what people, what all the alumni, what jobs they have, what they majored in. It has a giant alumni database just to go off of alone. Maybe there are other databases you can use. It can be like, all right, based off of all these classes, this person would probably be best at this job, which would best align with this major, and they're already kind of close to it because of these classes or something like that. And so you let the computer tell you what it would be, and you just go in sort of at a clean slate. Now, obviously, a lot of people, that would F them up, let's be honest. A lot of people need some direction. Or else they're just going to be taking, like the computer's going to be like, listen, bro, I don't even know what to do with this.
What will happen is people will take the easiest classes. That's what's going to happen.
Well, that's why I say it needs to progress. Like you need it. Like you can't just tell you like after 4 years, this is what the major you came out. Like you need it. Maybe you need it. Like you get to choose a real human as your advisor, or you get to choose a computer as your an AI program as your advisor. That sort of.
I think the one thing that would help with this though too is teaching college kids more about.
I like this idea.
I think teaching college kids more about the job market and what they can expect.
See, that's way too realistic.
I understand it's too realistic, but
I like AI technology.
I mean, it's great. I love it. I think it's awesome. But the thing is that that's great. So say you do 2-3 years of classes you find interesting, and then it comes out that you should be a
chemist.
Okay, great. You want to be a chemist. How much does I have no idea what a chemist makes per year. But let's just ballpark it, and let's just say 60 to 100,000.
50 to 100, yeah. Sure.
Okay.
50 to 100, that's easier.
Now, how much is it going to cost to go to university for you? How much are you going to be?
Well, see, it can't. Now, I'm not telling you that this. I think that's beyond the AI's capability.
But see, that's one thing I wish I knew before college.
The AI can't factor in your finances.
Right.
I mean, now maybe there is a system that could do that. But now that's, I think, beyond the scope of what I'm expecting from this. I'm sort of thinking as a way to replace your sort of traditional way that you would get advised, and traditional way that people tend to pick classes. Because there's these tracks that everyone gets put on, where it's like, listen, if you want to get this major in this, you got to take at least these classes. And for us, we're kind of lucky, I feel like, at a liberal arts school. I mean, lucky. This was 6-7 years ago.
Right.
Where it's like we sort of had the ability, and we were forced to take a certain amount of other classes.
Right.
But it's just like...
Which I thought was great.
I feel like there could be more of that. I wish there was more of that.
There should be more of it. The problem is...
I wish there was more, like, for example, I really enjoyed ethnic studies, and it really opened up it sort of really was the first place that opened my eye up to race on an academic level. And, I'm not going to say it turned me into some sort of well-educated woke monster that I am today as I read the terrible books that I read today. Terrible, I mean, very good books, but terrible news, terrible information. It's very hard to stomach. But that was sort of the first time when I was like, oh, this is I guess I've heard of racism, but I never thought about it on like an academic level like this, on how race works on a deeper level. It's kind of just always been just there,
Right.
But I never really thought about it on sort of that I never had it explained to me essentially. But then I took a 101 class because I had to take and then that was kind of it, Right. I wish there was at least a chance to delve a little deeper into stuff like that.
Sure. But
how much time do we have, too? I mean, years.
Well, that's the issue. The time is the issue. The other issue, too, is I would say cost. I think if you are unsure going into college, you don't know what you want to do a couple of years at community college.
Cost. Like a 4-year college.
Yeah, but most people our age can't afford that.
Sure. Okay.
So if you... So, I knew I wanted to study German and
but I feel like the AI makes even more sense at like a community college where you have to be a little bit more focused.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm 100% for this AI. Okay. I think it would be cool.
I'm still pushing it.
But I think that, there are other issues that people need to know about before college. But yeah.
I have another one. I kind of wish I played soccer.
Yeah? I mean, I went to Albion actually to play tennis, and that never happened. I got too busy.
Like it didn't really set into my brain that this is sort of the last hurrah of it, and I think I was definitely good enough. And I also,
for sure would have made the team at Albion for sure.
And I also think that I had no plan. Like I don't know. I feel like it was just like a a laziness and lack of preparedness that sort of stopped me from doing it.
Right.
And as I look back onto it, like I really enjoy it, and I love sports, and I love playing sports, and I was like, I feel like it was almost a moment of not a moment of weakness, because it's not like it was just a moment where I was like F it, but like it was just like a lapse in my judgment not to be like it didn't really cross my mind how much I would really appreciate playing it and how much I really enjoyed it in the moment. Like I don't think I could really contextualize in my head how important it was, because I don't know, it was just kind of always there in my entire life.
Right.
And I was like, maybe it would be nice to have a break. And it's like, and also I was kind of concerned, foolishly I think, about it cutting into school, where it's like I was really concerned about I can't be embarrassing myself and and have terrible grades but be on the soccer team, and I'm like, it doesn't take that much time. Like it's not really like that.
Well, that's not true. I mean, college sports are.
You think that's definitely something I would
part-time
have
job.
It's
a part-time job
to balance. Yeah,
it's at least 20 hours a week.
Yeah, but I think maybe that discipline would do me well.
Could be.
Even for school.
I think it would. But see, and that's why I don't regret,
especially early on.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't regret not playing tennis in college, because I was so busy with music.
Not playing tennis.
Yeah, that was a terrible sentence. Sorry. I don't.
You have no qualms about not playing tennis in college.
Correct. Thank you. Because I was so busy with music. You know, I was practicing guitar quite a bit every day. And that was a bigger time commitment, and I wouldn't have been able to do music and do sports.
See, you have that. Now that's three things for you. That's school, music, sports.
Right.
For me, it would be school
and sports. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I still kind of like, especially as I get more into sports, which weirdly enough, the older I get, I feel like the more I get into sports.
Mm-hmm.
But like I feel like I even when I watch Formula One, I sort of get sad about like my soccer days. Like I sort of reminisce about soccer days on a sport that literally has no relation.
Right, that's true.
But it's just like sports. It's like I know sort of like I miss that feeling, like like when you see them out there before a race or
it's
before
that camaraderie,
a race.
man.
It's like I know what that's like. That sort of pressure, but you're also pumped
excited,
up.
Yeah.
You see them with like headphones on sometimes. Like, oh, I know that feeling. You got like they probably got like their special playlist that they know is going to get them pumped up. I don't know. I miss that, and I didn't realize how short that college time would be, where I had to do it one last time versus the amount of lifetime I'll have to never do it again in any sort of organized, real organized way.
Right. One last thing that I think we both knew, but other people should consider before studying is studying abroad. Semester, year, and it doesn't have to even be abroad, but study in a different location for at least a few months.
Yeah, like some people did like the Chicago.
Chicago, Philadelphia, and anywher. Go somewhere else
Which
for
is
half
honestly,
a year.
in my mind, especially having lived in Philadelphia and Austria, not much different. Like, I mean, the sort of the experience is not much different.
Right.
Like, especially if you're from like a small town in Michigan, like we all were.
Exactly.
Or not all of us, but
a lot of
like
us, right.
The idea of going to a place like Philadelphia or Austria is not that much different, in the sense where it's like you're getting yourself into a completely different culture and environment, and you're sort of forced to be away from.
And it's important.
And it's like, all right, now I have to adapt to a new friend group. I have to like it's just like a new adventure.
You have to grow. Yeah, you have to grow a lot. So,
and most people, at least in our group, in our study abroad thing in Austria, weren't that great in German anyway. It doesn't make any difference whether they're in Philadelphia or Austria language wise.
True, very true. That's right. Well, speaking though, Jared, of new things, let's talk about a song today.
Yeah, dude.
It is Papa Noah by the German group Seed, one of our favorites. I would say, speaking of fun, this is definitely a fun song. Got some good vibes to it.
I still miss old Seed, But I guess R.I.P. I don't know his name. I feel bad for her. But R.I.P. to the one of the singers.
Oh, yeah.
That died maybe, what is that, a year or so ago?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this is a good song too. I don't really keep up with them as much as I used to. But their music in general doesn't seem to excite me as much as it used to. Like
really interesting.
I feel like every now and again, like when I hear a new song, I'm like, oh, I can jam to this. But it's like, but this isn't hitting like the old stuff used to for some reason. Now maybe that's just the old.
Because we were in college, man.
Yeah,
we were in college.
Maybe there's
just
so much attached to it.
That's true. But it's got a great beat, awesome horn section. Super catchy chorus.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't play a little bit of it. It's too late now. There's no reason now.
Yeah. But
now we're just.
But check it out on our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast, at our Song of the Pod playlist. Papa Noah by Seed. It's definitely a good one. So to recap today's episode, Jared, I think it's important to have an idea of your purpose going into college.
Yes.
You know, for you, it was find a job. For me, it was do something with German. And ironically, it ended up me doing something with English and not German. But hey, I'm happy where
you're still teaching, though, which I feel has always been a plan for you, right?
Yes, correct. So yeah, so have a plan. If you don't know what you want to study, I would say do a couple years at a community college. You know, take some gen ed courses. Also, don't be afraid to try some other courses. I do wish, one other regret I have from Albion is I actually wish I would have taken a geology class sooner. I took it my senior year because I had to take some science credits, and I actually really liked it. I would have minored in it, maybe.
Funnily enough, I actually took 2. I took Geology 101, and I took Natural Disasters.
I think I took both of those, too. Yeah, they were great.
I enjoyed it, and I liked it because it was also a lot of hands-on teaching. But I feel like I was in over my head a little bit, like as far as the knowledge part of it went.
Yeah.
But maybe I just wasn't applying myself enough. One other thing that's essentially similar for me to the studying abroad or even studying in a different city is I kind of wish I was a little bit more open to going to college out of state. I feel like I was.
But that's really expensive.
As an adult in high, but we went to a private school anyway. Like, how much?
Yeah, but
more
I had some.
expensive
I had some good scholarships.
I did too.
So
I did
speak for yourself, Jared.
I did too. But like, I wish I feel like the reason I didn't go out of state is more because of like some sort of fear that maybe I wasn't willing to admit then, but I think I can admit it now as a man. That I think I was a little fearful to go too far away, and just be like out on my own a little bit. But I think that obviously in hindsight, especially someone that's moved around a good bit, even post college, feels a little foolish now.
Yeah, but when you're young like that, you don't know.
Yeah.
So to our young listeners, pay attention because I agree with you.
No, don't. I don't like. I'm not. Don't listen. Don't let me inspire you. I don't like that.
I'll inspire you people, I guess, if Jared doesn't want to.
Speaking of our last episode, by the way, I'd be the worst mentor. I'd be like, all right, I drop all this knowledge. You're like, don't listen to that. I'm an idiot. I have no information for you. You're like, what?
I just learned all that. Now it's okay.
Like they have a legal pad. Like, should I scratch that out or
just throw it away? Just ball it up, Kobe. You're good. But yeah, definitely, I would agree with you though. Either going out of state, I think the thing with college is this is a time to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone. Apparently, I can't talk anymore. Get out of your comfort zone. It will definitely be worth it in the long run.
Sure.
So yeah. So let us know what you wish you would have known before college at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can slide into those DMs on Twitter, untranslatable1. Let us know also what you thought, or if you have any regrets you'd like us to retweet. I'm sure Jared, if it's funny, Jared will definitely retweet it. Lastly, please check us out on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. And let us know what you think of the podcast by giving us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. So, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania.
Yes.
Don't need to go to college anymore after making this podcast, Jared. That's for sure. That is for sure. Getting a little corner elbow tan right here, my man. A little forehead tan, maybe.
Both of us are. So you don't regret not playing tennis? Also,
not one bit.
Yeah,
it would have been
fun.
Will say,
but listen, I know we're still recording, but I don't know. The tennis team didn't seem like the most fun team to be on at Albion.
Soccer team seemed like it was a good time.
I don't know.
But you'd probably be in Sigma Chi, and then
I don't know if it's my. Oh wow, look at that! Just ran out of battery.
Oh nice.
I don't know if it's my scene. I can't imagine. Like.